If I were to ask you what do you think is the animal with the most organized social structure, you'd probably say humans, given that not even the alleged king of the savannah has the most organized social structure. But they do actually have a very powerful hierarchy where at the top lies the king, in the middle lies the workers, and the minions at the very bottom. The most socially organized animals other than humans are, you guessed it, ants. Well, maybe that was a surprise. Like us humans, ants have a complex social structure where at the top ranks the royal queen, which is the largest member of the colony, and the one responsible for laying the eggs. Now usually there's only one queen in the entire colony, and yeah, they usually have wings. Ranking below the queen are the male ants whose sole purpose is clapping the queen's cheeks, which then after they retire from living. And that's kind of scary because I would not clap any cheeks knowing that it's my fate, but you know, you do you. But at least it would be a peaceful death sentence. And while the males die, the queen loses her wings. And then we got the workers' ants, which are divided into... See, it's not that simple. See, what I like about these workers' ants is that they divide the chores and work as a team. Some are responsible for taking care and feeding the pupa, others are responsible for doing laundry, and a few are responsible for hunting and feeding the whole colony. And the ones that go looking for food can actually walk a quarter of a kilometer just in search of food. And the reason they don't get lost is because they leave trails of pheromones in their tracks which helps them get back to their nest or home. And they don't follow each other when they're hunting. They actually walk randomly. Let me explain this. The ants that are first to find food, whether it's a prey or a carcass, release more pheromones that signals the other ants that food has been located. And those ants use their antennas to track where the pheromones are coming from. And boom, before you realize it, they're all there, infesting your house. So the next time you walk through your kitchen and you see a carcass and then come back later and see a whole colony of ants, don't be surprised. It's pheromones. It's worth mentioning that some of these workers' ants are the ladies in waiting, which means they directly serve the queen. Kind of. And that doesn't stop there. Some ant species have gone as far as being expert farmers and shepherds. They domesticate a flock of tiny bugs known as aphids. These little bugs provide the ants with sugar-rich honeydew as a source of food, and in return the ants protect them from potential predators. A clear example of this ant is the longhorn crazy ant, otherwise known as black crazy ant. This is the reason that makes the ants the most successful insects of all insects on Earth. Which is mind-blowing when you realize that there are 10,000 species of ants worldwide, which only makes up to a third of the global insect biomass. That doesn't sound like much, but to put that into perspective, that's several times the biomass of all land vertebrates combined. Ants are basically the powerhouse of the animal kingdom. Have you seen those gym videos where the skinny janitor shows up and then lifts 1,000 pounds and then makes every big guy give up from going to the gym? Yeah, that's exactly what ants will do, only 1,000 times more. Yeah, I'm not convinced these minimoids are not on steroids, only they don't show their abs. On a regular basis, ants can lift from 10 to 50 times their own body weight, which is equivalent to an elephant lifting a blue whale, or a school bus towing the Antonov 225. By the way, RIP to our legend. And if you think that's impressive, it doesn't stop there because they're known to pull 5,000 times their own body weight, which is the same as a school bus roughly pulling the Titanic. Again, RIP to our supreme legend. Argentine ants are known as the most successful ants, and there's a reason for that. They have a very well-skilled and structured army that invade and conquer lands of other ants. This means they spread rapidly. On top of that, they can produce or have multiple queens in contrast to other ants, which only have one queen, and once that queen is dead, it's once upon a time for the entire colony. Also, each year they will unalive multiple queens with altered genes in order to minimize genetic differentiation. In addition to their arsenal of weapons, they release chemical irritants made up of dolichorial and iridomericin through behavior traits called gaster bending, which basically incapacitates their opponents, and they use that opportunity to recruit other members to jump their target. Ants occasionally get involved in a phenomenon called ant mail. Well, famously known as spiral of death, which basically happens when they lose their pheromone track and start following each other in an endless loop of a circular movement. What's crazy about this event is that as they follow each other, they produce more and more pheromones, strengthening this phenomenon, making it almost impossible to interrupt. The only possible way to interrupt this is through external factors like rain, wind, or even if somebody just goes there and does something about it. Now, I'm not telling you to interfere with nature. Leave it alone. This can grow to great dimensions as other ants join in and last for days. As this phenomenon is pretty much endless, the ants end up meeting their demise either through starvation, dehydration, or exhaustion. The latter is the most common. The largest spiral of death circle was found by William Beebe, Indiana in 1921, which he claimed to have been over 1,200 feet wide, that is 366 meters, and each ant completed a full lap in 2.5 hours, and their self-destructive march lasted 2 days. No wonder they became Saitama. It is worth mentioning that being the most successful does not equate to being the most successful hunters, because that title is held by the dragonflies, which are the most successful hunters on the planet, coming in with 97% of hunting success rate. And might you guess who takes second place? Yes, surprisingly, it's the wild dogs, coming in with 70 to 90% of hunting success rate, and third place is taken by the ant slayer spiders. Yep, you heard that right. There's a spider specialized in murking ants. And you thought the ant life was a sea of roses? Ants are basically the biggest prize in the food chain. In fact, they have more predators than you think. Here are some of them for you. Antlions, bears, anteaters, other ants, various species of flies, pangolins, aardvarks, birds, snakes, wasps, beetles, lizards, toads, butterflies, coyotes, spiders, and the list just goes on. Some of these ant slayers are pretty cruel. Like the case of phorid flies, the females will inject eggs inside the ant's body, and once the larvae hatches, it'll consume the ants from the inside until it's completely drained, and then start injecting enzymes that will separate the head of the ant with its body. The head is where it's going to emerge from later, when it's ready to face the real world. Another merciless parasite is a cordyceps fungus, which is specialized in hosting its victim's body and taking control over it, making them zombies. Once the victim finds a suitable environment for the host, it'll dig its jaws into a plant and await its demise. If you ever wished you were an ant, this might make you rethink your decision. And speaking of spiders, the reason most of them are extremely successful hunters is because of the webs they make. Well, that's pretty obvious. Their webs are so strong that anything that tries to dunk itself through it ends up stuck. In fact, the strongest web manufacturer is the Darwin's Barker spider. Their webs are so powerful that they can catch literally almost any freaking prey. Yeah, and I mean almost literally anything from birds, insects, other spiders, and the list just goes on. This brings us to the sponsor. There's no sponsor other than just websites. Okay, that was lame. Or better, awful. But not as awful as how straightforward to their duty these webs are. Awfully good. Unbelievable. This spider silk is the strongest known natural fiber. Pound for pound, it's stronger than actual steel and is 10 times stronger than Kevlar, which is one of the strongest synthetic fibers out there. To make you understand this better, 5 strands of silk as thick as a pencil coming from this spider is enough to stop a Boeing 747 from moving midair. If that's not impressive, I don't know what is. Realistically, if Spider-Man was bitten by this spider, he would have actually done more than he did in this train scene. Having the silk superpower does not make this spider anywhere near the most dangerous spider, because just the Black Widow, which is already a terror for most of us, which like many spiders, the females feast on their partners after mating, are not the most dangerous spiders in the world. Well, that title is held by the funnel web spider. Can you guess where the spider is from? I'll give you 3 seconds. If you said Australia, then you're right. Yeah, Australia, the place where everything's constantly trying to kill ya, and spiders are not an exception. Well, I would rather say that that's a misconception. Correction, we're having a session. I decided direction, because this ain't gonna be messing. Now, this spider is pretty aggressive and the most venomous spider in the world. But see, many spiders are extremely dangerous, but that does not mean that they always trying to kill you. In fact, spiders are one of the most peaceful creatures on the planet. A study made between 2015 and 2018 indicated that 6 people died from spider bites each year in the United States. That accounts to the death of 1 in 50 million people in the US alone. And guess what else? There is no confirmed deaths from spider bites in Australia. See, the thing is, spiders only attack as a defense tactic. Well, that's when they feel threatened. However, not all spiders use their silk to make webs. Some of them use it to make trapdoors where they can ambush their prey, and others use them to make silken tunnels where they can also ambush their prey. Spiders are kind of blind, so they're the definition of, if I can't see with my eyes, then I'ma see with my hands, bitch. Well, not all spiders are kind of blind, but those are just very few. You see those little hair follicles on the spider bodies called trichobothria? Yeah, those are extremely sensitive. Those hairs are so sensitive that they can pick up air movement down to 1/10 billionth of a meter. Now that's some superpower. Now this makes spiders one of the most sensitive creatures to have ever lived. Regardless of the arsenal of weapons they got, they have slim to zero reasons to put you out of commission.
unless you're stupid enough to ask for it. But you better hope you got plot armor if you're doing that.
Now you don't have to worry as much as you used to worry about spiders. On the contrary, most of them help put the pest out of commission in your households. So you might want to reconsider getting rid of spiders in your households.
Well, that's that. Shout out to you guys who made it this far. Thanks for watching, and guess I'll see you in the next video. Peace.